We're back today, and I am by myself, as you can see. And I will be damned if I'm not wearing this red shirt again. I just realized people are going to start to wonder if I wear anything else. I do, but it seems like Wednesdays I wear the red shirt. Okay, let's just jump right in. I am actually by myself today. Like I said, Chris has been sick. I've been sick. Actually, it's that time of year. But we are in the new year. We are excited to jump in. Fantasy Elect is full speed ahead. We have contests starting now. Running. The next one starts with the Iowa Caucuses, and there's some prize pots to be won. It's a very exciting time, and we have a lot to cover today. So that is why I am doing it by myself. We've been on hiatus. I think we missed 3 weeks with Christmas, New Year's, and being sick last week. So let's jump right in. It's been a busy day, even just today. Not everything that we missed before today, any of that. Just today alone, it has been a busy, busy day. I guess I should say, by the way, my name is Justin Schoenfelder. I am the founder and CEO of Fantasy Elect. So I spend all day looking at political news, running our company. We are growing. We are offering games. And so I see a lot of political news. Maybe you out there are not used to seeing as much political news as I am, so you don't know how busy today has been. But I will give you the biggest highlight of 2024 already, and what will likely, in my opinion, be the real determiner of one of two major determiners of the presidential election. Today was the contempt hearing for Hunter Biden in Congress. For those of you who do not know, Hunter Biden was subpoenaed to testify before Congress for an investigation into alleged misconduct by the current president, then was vice president, but a ongoing use of his office with his son to illegally benefit from his office. Some would call it bribery, some would call it many different things, whatever you want to call it, but that's basically the gist of it. So he was subpoenaed, and you probably saw, everybody's heard about this, Hunter's laptop, even beyond the sex stuff and the drug stuff that was on there. I think everybody has heard that there's a belief by Republicans that he was operating basically as a front man for Joe Biden. At the very least, I will say this, long before any of you and even Republicans were following this story, there's a great book about dark money, which is the dark money economy. And that book actually referred to Hunter Biden, referenced Hunter Biden on the board of Burisma. And I read this book in 2016. So long before. Joe Biden didn't even run for president in 2016. He was mourning the death of his other son. At least that's what he said. Some people disagree. Some people say he was told not to get in Hillary's way. Maybe. But that book, and the book could be even older. I read it in 2016, 2017 timeframe. So yes, it was about dark money, and it referenced people prospering from their political connections. I don't think he's the first person to do it, by the way. Is it right? I don't think that's necessarily true either. But I do know many other people who got their jobs because of who their parents are as well. So, nobody likes nepotism. It kind of goes against especially as Americans, our ingrained feeling of fairness, right? We want it to be a meritocracy. I don't think it is always. But point being, there was a hearing today because Hunter Biden was subpoenaed to testify. They went back and forth for a long period of time for a public hearing. He was subpoenaed. He said he would show. At first, I think he did not want to go to that. Whatever, his lawyers, negotiation. It's not really up to him whether he gets to go to it or not. He said, fine, I'll show up. Then the Republican committee wanted it to be a private closed session, not open to the public. And that was when Hunter Biden showed up. If anybody remembers this, I guess, stunt or whatever you would call it, a marketing PR stunt. He showed up to Congress, but he didn't go in, and he did a press conference outside saying that he would happily do a public hearing, but would not show up for the private hearing. He may have legitimate concerns that he would be taken out of context or it would be used against him, which it would, because that's what Congress people do. Everything is political. Let's not believe that things are being done for the best interest of us all of the time. If there's a benefit to be had, someone will capitalize on it, right? Does that mean you get to decide unilaterally that you're not going to show up when subpoenaed? I don't think so, but that's what's playing out right now. So everybody's in an interesting situation because only a few short months before, before the 2022 midterm elections, Democrats were in control of the House, and they subpoenaed multiple people that did not show up. Mark Meadows, several sitting members of Congress, regarding the, I believe it was just January 6th, but there could have been other committee hearings. Point being, they didn't show up. There were contempt hearings, I believe, and my understanding, which will tie back in, by the way, Nancy Mace from South Carolina was, I guess, the only Republican to vote for contempt charges for the Republicans who did not show up, or maybe everyone, which included Republicans, that did not show up for those subpoenas. Now most people are flipping sides. The Democrats who felt that those Republicans who didn't show up should be held in contempt are now, I guess, arguing or trying to protect Hunter Biden, while the Republicans who did not see or deem it fit to hold Republicans in contempt are now trying to hold Hunter Biden in contempt. This is, by the way, why we have the game. Because if you believe that the system is always rational, that it's fair, that they're just doing what they can for the American people, you don't understand how the system works. It is a game. There are no beliefs. There are no, true believers. There might be a few. I don't know. I don't know them personally. But generally speaking, they are politicians. Always, first and foremost. So that means whatever position is most advantageous at the moment is the one they're most likely to take, even if it goes against something they did previously. So today, in the hearing, guess who made an appearance in the House? Hunter Biden. He actually did show up eventually for his subpoena. He was several months late, so it was not taken well by the Republicans that were holding the hearing. They were leading the hearing. There were also Democrats there. They were arguing, there was a congressman, I believe his name is Moskowitz, who said he would happily vote to hold Hunter in contempt as long as they also added the names of the Republicans who didn't show up before. That sounds rational to me. If you don't show up, no matter what, you get a contempt charge. I get that. Granted, I think Hunter has more charges to worry about, but okay, let's add a charge along with everyone else. Well, Nancy Mace, when Hunter Biden showed up, I was actually very shocked. She said he was the epitome of white privilege. Woke, cancel culture verbiage coming out of the congresswoman from South Carolina's mouth. I literally stopped in my tracks. Why would she say that? By the way, she's white. If she had added male, like white male privilege, but it was almost like she was saying, hey, you're demonstrating our privilege because we're both white. I don't know. I've never heard privilege used in that way. It's usually meant to accuse somebody of something that you don't have. It was very interesting that she said that. Mostly interesting because she seems to me to be a anti-woke person. I don't know that her ideology is anti-woke, by the way, but she has made comments, I believe, against wokeism And she's certainly in the party of anti-woke. But there she was using, woke cancel culture language according to her party's beliefs, ideology. That's the kind of language a woke cancel culture person would use. Crazy. Now, what does this mean for Fantasy Elect? That is the question. What I think this means is Nancy has had her own issues over the last year. I don't know if anybody remembers this. She made an offhand comment it was like a religious woman's breakfast, something 7 months ago, something like that. I didn't even look it up. This is all just from memory, so I could be off of my facts, but you might remember this. She made an offhand comment about her boyfriend that morning trying to hold her up and make her late because he was feeling a little bit frisky. She was immediately attacked by her own party, a select group of her own party, because of the audacity to talk about intercourse or interpersonal sexual relationships between adults that are not married. That is a true statement. That is exactly what happened to her. I think, now let's not get things twisted here. She's from South Carolina. That will go Trump. That is a red state, right? Doesn't mean that they don't have a few blue pockets. I'm not saying that, but that is a solidly red total state. And she has been a somewhat vocal, opponent of Donald Trump on occasion. She's made stands that were very unpopular in her party. I wonder, is she seeing what you should be seeing when you're picking your lineup? That she could be a weak target for an attack from the right in a primary. See, politics now, let's realize the real game is not the general election. Nobody cares about the general election. Everyone cares about the primary. The seats that are there are already safe for whatever color they are, right? If it's a red state, if it's a red seat or a blue seat, it is 95% safe, right? So then what do you actually worry about? You worry about getting attacked to the right. If you're in a red district, you don't have to worry about getting attacked from the left. You worry about getting attacked from the right. Who's the most red for our red district? Now, there can be some caveats to that because it might not be the deepest red district. So the farther right you go, you might alienate people. But you do worry about being primary. That's what they call it, right? So if I'm looking at a lineup, who I'm going to draft for, going into this election year, we're in 2024 now. All 535 sitting members of the House are up for re-election, including Miss Nancy Mace from South Carolina. I might look, is she feeling the pain? Is she feeling a little bit of pressure? I could look it up real quick, and I think I'm going to. Who is she being primary? That is a good question. I would not be surprised if she is looking at a primary challenger. And if she is this why she's now making some very heated, very strong statements regarding this current Hunter Biden? That is a great cause for she does have a primary challenger, Austin Anderson. I know nothing about Austin Anderson. Let's dig into him. I assume it's a him, but Austin Anderson. There's no picture, which is why I say I assume. Okay, there's really nothing about him here. He declared a candidacy in for the it's a June 11th, by the way, is the congressional primary in South Carolina. This might tell us what we need to know, right? This is where we are. Austin Anderson has jumped into the race, and even though incumbents generally do win, listen, if you're getting attacked to the right and you are in a very strong Trump state, by the way, Trump is going to beat the former governor of South Carolina, Nikki Haley, in the South Carolina primaries. Let's not pretend he's not going to beat her. That is a Trump state. It doesn't mean every Republican likes Trump in that state, but it is a solidly Trump state. And she is on record as not being very Trump friendly. If Austin's very Trump friendly, what does she have to do? She has to prove her other bona fides. How do you do that? You attack Hunter Biden. This is actually a great gift. The Hunter Biden scandals, issues, whatever, whether real or concocted, is a gift to members of Congress like Nancy Mace. And anybody who might think back, this is very much like the Benghazi situation. Now, without arguing the merits of who should be held accountable or not accountable for the attack in Benghazi, I was looking at this earlier. I believe there were 6 different congressional hearings or congressional investigations into Benghazi. The longest was the Benghazi Committee. Was like the House Oversight Committee Benghazi investigation was over 2 years, $7-something million, and it just happened to wrap up in December of 2016 after, Hillary Clinton was defeated by Trump. I'm sure defeating Hillary was not part of the reason that the Republicans in the House had so many investigations into Hillary Clinton and her handling of Benghazi. I'm sure. But otherwise, it was still a gift to anyone who was running as a Republican at that time, because it was used, rightly or wrongly, it was used to paint a very certain narrative of the Democratic Party and of Hillary Clinton in particular. And honestly, as much as we talk, I have never talked about it on this show, but and we've never talked about it on this show, neither Chris nor I. Regardless of the potential Russian aspect to the 2016 campaign, what really sunk Hillary was Benghazi. I would say tangentially, what came out of the Benghazi investigations was also the server, the emails. That was all fruit of the tree of the Benghazi investigations. When Hillary Clinton left the Obama administration, she was one of the most respected politicians in the country. Go back and look at her approval ratings. She was considered a shoo-in. I remember early when she left, I thought, oh, she's the nominee and she's the likely. I was looking out at a Republican field that I would have never thought about Donald Trump, to my own detriment. Obviously, I wasn't being creative enough in how I looked at it. I didn't see any Republicans that I thought could beat her. But 2 years later, sitting in front of Congress, getting hammered, a narrative that you're not controlling, that is what led to her downfall. Also, I would say it was a little bit self-inflicted. I think she could have won if the server and all of that had never happened. She was highly weakened, but I would say that narrative of her being criminal-like and all of these things and just underhanded dealings, that is what did it. So, to the point, today has been a very good day for Republicans on the Hill, and specifically Nancy Mace and some perhaps others, but she is maybe the single biggest beneficiary of these current hearings. I think she helped herself very much today. She used some very colorful language, claiming that Hunter Biden didn't have the balls to testify. I've never actually looked at the sex tape stuff on the laptop that was in the news. I don't know anything about it, so I can't comment as to whether or not she's accurate in that comment, but she seemed tough. She did, I will say, by the way, she threw in something in there about can women not speak in this hearing because she was being interrupted, which she was being interrupted by some Democrats. I don't know how well that kind of thing plays in her party when she's playing up the fact that she's like poor little old me, the woman up here. I think everybody gets interrupted personally. If you listen to that kind of 10-minute section of the of the hearing, there was a lot of interrupting going on, even of the chairman of Comer. So whatever. I don't know if that'll play well. But other than that, she did come across as very tough talk, very hit him while he's down kind of thing. And, she said she believed he should be locked up, taken to prison right away for violating his, for contempt of Congress. I think she did herself a lot of favors. If you would be, I wouldn't hold it against you if you thought that was the only scandal going on right now, but it's not. There is now a scandal brewing in the Atlanta DA's office regarding Fani Willis. She is being accused of an improper relationship with the special prosecutor that she appointed. This has major implications, by the way. Here's the thing. Will every member of a jury vote to convict Donald Trump and these other defendants in the RICO case? Forget about the evidence. If there's seen to be some sort of taint or rot at the core of the office that is doing the prosecutions, you know who I feel sorry for? Are Jenna Ellis and Chesborough and the other one. I should have written that down. Starts with an S. And she used the Kraken. I'm just going to call her the Kraken. Sidney Powell. I feel sorry for these three because if they had been able to drag this out a bit further, maybe and they were moving for speedy trials. If they had decided to slow it down, they might have actually been in a better position because, listen, I think I'm a fair-minded guy, but if I start to hear that there is some shady conduct going on between the special prosecutor and the DA, I expect there to be some insulation there. That's the whole point of a special prosecutor, right? The question is, do I trust enough that relationship was only whatever it was, romantic or whatever, and there was no benefit there to the prosecution in the case, or no undue influence, or any number of ways in which there could be prosecutorial type of not maybe legal prosecutorial misconduct, but perceived prosecutorial misconduct. So this could have huge implications for the political landscape. Remember, this is the only non-federal criminal indictment of President Trump, former President Trump. It's the only non-federal one, which means if elected, he can pardon himself of every one of them except for this one. He has no jurisdiction to pardon himself in the state of Georgia for a state crime. This is the only one that no matter what the outcome of the politics of 2024, he may or may not be held accountable for crimes that he may or may not allegedly have committed. I have no idea. I don't know how to say it in a way that will satisfy everyone. The point being, this is the only one where he could never have power over his own criminal process. It's a very powerful thing. And here we have, for whatever reason, love is blind, I guess. I have no idea. People can't control themselves. And I don't even know if it's true. It's just alleged. That's between the two of them. I have no inside information. But if true, the human failing strikes again, and what serving the greater good takes a back seat to whatever you want in the moment. It's a very far-reaching implication. And while Fani Willis may have scored some points in the Democratic Party, for bringing charges. I don't know if she did, potentially, let's say. This, I think it wipes a lot of those potential points off the board. You don't bring charges unless you are unimpeachable, which means you have to remain unimpeachable, which means no matter how you feel about someone else, you put that shit off until you're done with your job. Or if you're already in a relationship with someone, you find somebody else to do the job. I don't know. That may actually have, we may look back historically and find that scandal has far more, like, way farther reaching implications than Hunter Biden. I don't want to talk about just Trump, but it's been such a busy week since the new year. I think today's the 10th. Is that right? 9th? 10th. Today is the 10th. We're not even 2 weeks into 2024 yet. And there was a hearing yesterday, at the Circuit Court of Appeals for Donald Trump's claim of absolute immunity from criminal prosecution. I don't know. To be honest with you, I think everybody likes to equivocate. Do I think anybody can commit a crime and get away with it in the United States? No, I think just as a general matter. But I would also say that perhaps in this specific instance, one of the judges in particular asked a question that everyone is talking about, so I'm not being very unique in this, asked the question that got to the heart of the issue. Could Donald Trump, or any president, but let's say Donald Trump now because this is about his claim of absolute immunity, could he have ordered SEAL Team 6 to assassinate his political rivals and never face criminal prosecution? Seems to me that the judge is thinking that in and of itself, on its face, is a ludicrous statement. Now, I believe it was another judge who actually said, isn't there a built-in paradox here saying that the president has absolute immunity from criminal prosecution when the Constitution not only entrusts, but actually explicitly requires the president to carry out and faithfully execute the laws of the United States of America? How could he implement and protect and execute the laws of the country while himself violating those very laws? It seems a paradox of a statement. My real interesting point here, or at least I find it interesting, is that I feel like Trump is really, in a way, he almost is hurting himself. He's in a place I don't think he can win. Because what he is saying is that he, as president, has absolute immunity for what he did while he was in office. If he wins, there is a legal precedent for Joe Biden to now have SEAL Team 6 assassinate Donald Trump. Think about that. Yeah, that's crazy. and this actually would have been a better chain of events to happen for Trump and to go through this whole process if he was still president. You don't now argue that the guy who has the job has absolute immunity. That's a dangerous thing to do. But that's what he's doing. I can see why. I mean, if you're facing, 91 counts, you might actually go for that as well, right? Also, you're hedging, you're betting that Biden probably is not going to do that. But why wouldn't he? So I think we have to, this is kind of the equivocation back and forth. Some people have worried it's a slippery slope on both sides. Both sides are making that argument. I don't think it's a slippery slope. I don't think it's actually that ridiculous that to say, oh no, if Joe Biden committed crimes while he was in office, he too should be indicted for those crimes and if convicted, be punished. Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah. Now, if Trump loses, he's going to go to the Supreme Court, I assume, if they take it, which I assume they will. I've been thinking this through. Would they wrap this up into Jack Smith's claim, his earlier request for them to hear, can he be held accountable for what happened on January 6th, blah, blah, blah. I think they would wrap it all into one thing and listen to it and make a final determination. If he loses, he's at the end of his road. If he wins, he may have a knock on the door from SEAL Team 6. That's all I'm saying. He's between a rock and a SEAL team. So that kind of gets us through most of the Trump-esque news. Trump, Biden, presidential. Do you think we're done with scandals, by the way, from the new year, since we've been gone? Nope. We got another one for you, and it is a doozy, by the way. We have Lauren Boebert, who seems to be able to throw a mean right cross, having the cops called on her by her ex-husband. For anybody who hasn't been following, this ex-husband is not the same man that she was vaping and giving a hand job to at the at the live performance play. Yeah, this is a different guy. That was a date. This was her ex-husband. Listen, ex-relationships can be very difficult. I don't know if she did hit him. I don't know if he's setting her up. She's vulnerable. Like, she's a public figure. It only takes a phone call to kind of hurt her. Maybe. I don't know, right? I do think it's kind of interesting that, to use a quote from Nikki Haley, chaos follows her wherever she goes, rightly or wrongly. So, this is she seems to be a mounting scandal person. Now, here's the question. This is not the only news about Lauren Boebert. Lauren Boebert has decided to drop out of the race in Colorado's 3rd district, the one that she has represented for the last 2 terms. Yeah. Why do you think that is? Polling showed that she was behind to the Democrat. But that's not the end of her. Everyone gets a second act in politics, right? She has decided to run in the 4th district, which is a solidly Republican district. So now we talk about where does it matter? It matters in the primaries. She's jumping into the primaries in the 4th district. And the question is, will she win? By the way, I looked at that district. I don't know any of these other names. Not that I necessarily would, maybe, but there doesn't seem to be anyone. And I looked at some of the fundraising. Democrats have been raising in that district, so maybe they believe they have a chance. I don't know, but there doesn't seem to be anyone among the primary challengers that are actually raising or have name recognition to raise a ton of money on. They probably didn't see it coming that she was going to jump in. They thought this is an open seat, that it's kind of a free-for-all, and maybe they can self-finance, maybe they can do something and end up being a congressman, and that's a pretty cush job. Now she jumps in, rightly or wrongly, with her, her chaos, her drama. She's got name recognition, and she has donors that she's been in Congress, and I wouldn't be surprised that she's helped people, right? She's been lobbied, and they want to continue to get that help. So she comes in a very strong candidate into this 4th district, I'd say. So what does that mean? Well, you can count her out now in the 3rd, and I think that means that 3rd will go Democrat if you're looking for where to draft. That's also an open seat, so it's a chance to flip that seat from red to blue. That's a flip. And then I think in the 4th, it's a solidly red. I think you do. I would not hesitate to draft Lauren Boebert. I think that even though she is a whirlwind of drama, I don't think that hurts her in the current political landscape, actually. I don't think it hurts her one bit. And as long as she stays a kind of MAGA firebrand, saying stuff that resonates with people, people have shown that they will look past anything as long as you are saying what they want to hear. If they want to hear that you don't believe in this, the separation of church and state and whatever, that's like her big thing recently in the last year. That was a talking point for a while. Then I think she does very well. So I wouldn't hesitate to draft her, to be honest with you. Will she perform highly? Yes, by the way. I think in the general, she will earn you a ton of points. I think it will. I don't think it'll be. I don't think, by the way, it will be as big of a blowout as a stronger Republican candidate would be. But I do think in that district, it will be a Republican blowout for sure. So whoever that Republican is will benefit from that. I think she can earn you some solid points for sure. I think that's it. I don't know. To be honest with you, there's just too much that's been going on, and we can keep going, but why at this point? I will say we are at the I guess precipice of I think it's the final Iowa debate before the caucuses is tonight. Only two candidates have, three qualified. One won't be there. Trump is doing a town hall on Fox News. First time in 2 years, by the way, done a Fox News event. And Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis will be battling it out for second place at the debates. Now, that is an interesting race to watch. Iowa's very close. And actually, as we go into our little game here at the end, our over-under game, you're going to see just how close it is. I will be 100% honest with you. At this point, I think it's either one of them can do it. They're only separated by, I think, like half of a percentage point. So once you factor in polling error, it's a dead heat. They're neck and neck. There's a lot of analogies just then, but you get the point. Tonight could very well determine who gets second place. Actually, tonight might determine who gets second place. I meant that to be a higher level, very well to might. I don't know that it likely will. I think some people already have their mind made up, but a really poor performance could shift everything. But even just a better performance by one or the other could edge that in their favor. Vivek, in typical Vivek fashion, is talking about how everything is an inside job, including polling now. So, he's out in the cold, literally. I think Iowa's very cold right now. Christie, I think he's kind of accepted that he's not even in Iowa. What's the point, right? So I actually watched his town hall last night in New Hampshire. Listen, like the guy, don't like the guy. He says mostly what he believes. He still throws in like the political jabs. He's got to twist things to make him or his party or specifically the Democrats make them look like they've done things wrong or whatever. Point being, Christie is not worried about Iowa. He's worried about New Hampshire. But seems to be some mounting questions about should he jump out and coalesce around Nikki Haley as an alternative to Trump. She is not an alternative to Trump, and he made that point, and I think I agree with him. She isn't running to be an alternative of Trump. She knows she lost the race. She's not going to win Iowa. She's not going to win New Hampshire. She's not going to win her home state. I think you would be hard-pressed to tell me one state that she is going to win. And I don't know anybody who becomes the nominee by winning 0 states. Maybe it's been done. I don't know. A contested convention, middle of a trial, Trump becomes weak. Maybe there's a contested convention, party coalesces around her. Maybe. I think she's running for 2028, which Christie said last night. I agree with him. I don't know if I agree as much that she's running to be vice president. I think she believes that ship has sailed, which I also agree. That ship has sailed. I would put my money on Elise Stefanik right now. I think everybody else, I would advise people to think long and hard about that. So yeah, I think she's just actually running for 2028. And I don't actually think she has a chance of 2028 either. If I look at it right now, things change in the next 4 years, absolutely. But I don't think she'll be the strongest candidate in 2028. That's what we have. Now let's jump into over-under game and wrap it up because I also have been sick. I don't sound very well. And we still did 40 minutes. Okay. This could have actually been another one of our scandals, but it was just too many scandals. Lloyd Austin, in case you haven't heard, was apparently he had surgery for prostate cancer and didn't tell anybody he had prostate cancer. Didn't tell anybody he was having surgery. Left, had to go back into the hospital because of some swelling, fluid buildup, post-surgery, infection, blah, blah, blah. Was under general anesthesia, signed a document giving some of his powers to his deputy, and nobody knew. I guess maybe the deputy found out at some point, but she was out of the country. I think she was in Puerto Rico. Yeah. So that could have been a scandal. Why get into the nitty gritty of that? He's not going to earn you any points. He's not an elected official. But now's where you can win some points on him. What's the over-under that Lloyd Austin will resign? Now, resignation here is code word for be fired. What is the over-under that he will be fired, quote unquote, resign for health situation in the coming months? I think they're going to give it enough time so that he can save face and so that they can say this was something else. This is obviously, based on his health. But how pissed do you think they are? And so many different things are going wrong in this, and nobody knows what it was, and everybody's asking, and I think it's perfectly valid to ask, and I think it's perfectly valid to wonder what the hell's going on in the administration, that your Secretary of Defense could have all this shit going on, and the president doesn't know about it? Or the president knew and didn't say anything about it, or when asked, acted like he didn't know about it. What is going on? But I think that the Biden administration is rather disciplined. I believe they will do it in the kind of historic way, which is within the coming month, I would say 2 months, you will find that there will be a new Secretary of Defense. Or there will be an announcement that Lloyd Austin will be outgoing. He's going to take care of his health, be with his family, the kind of general shit that everybody says, right? When in reality, he's being fired. Or he's not being fired. He's resigning because maybe he really did tell Joe Biden and Joe Biden didn't remember. I have no idea, right? I'm not going to claim I'm not going to one of those people that says I'm a Joe Biden supporter, so I'm going to believe that he hasn't had some sort of memory loss. Yes, there's some sort of slowing in the step there, obviously, right? But does that mean he can't do the job? I'm not making that statement either, but you get my point. So, over under, what's the likelihood that he is gone in the next 90 days? I think it's over. Obviously, I've made the argument just now. I think he's gone. But in our game, this would be an option where we would have a contest. In the contest, this would be one of our over-unders. Is he gone? Is he in? All right, next one. What is the over-under Chris Christie drops out of the race before New Hampshire? I said what I said before. I think I kind of already was leaning into this. I don't think he's out. I do think Chris Christie is out after New Hampshire because I actually think that he's not going to perform against Nikki Haley. Again, he is running against Trump. He's the only one running against Trump, but he's not really because Trump isn't running against him because he's too far behind. Like Trump already won the race and he's like on another lap. He's already lapped Chris Christie in this one. Chris Christie now is running against Nikki Haley in New Hampshire for a second life. Again, I believe for a potential contested convention. I don't know if it's for that, but I think he sees that there's a path if he can stay in, if he can win New Hampshire. If he wins New Hampshire, whoever wins New Hampshire is the best chance, I think, for any non-Trump candidate. And by the way, not win, second. New Hampshire is the best chance for an alternative to Trump. Name me another state that there is a likelihood, and even states that allow the open primary process, so you can be an independent and vote. Another state that anyone could win, right? So everyone's vying to be second in states. Nobody's playing to win the states. Chris Christie, he's just trying to beat Nikki Haley in New Hampshire. If he beats Nikki Haley in New Hampshire, her donors, I believe, will leave her. The Koch network, if she doesn't win New Hampshire, especially, it may go on a bit longer. Let's say it goes to South Carolina. If she gets trounced in South Carolina, in her home state, I think she's losing all of her support. And I think if she finishes third behind Christie, they will push Christie and they will do everything they can. I think there will be an attempt for a contested convention potentially, or what you'll see is that they will leave the race altogether and accept the fact that Trump is going to have the nomination. My personal opinion, they should accept that anyway. Oh, okay, now here we go. This is how our game breaks down. All right, are you with me? The next two questions are together but separate. I'll explain what I mean. Iowa caucuses are coming up. I would expect you as a player, you're going to go look at the polls. There are many places you can go, and I'm going to throw out one right now that I really like. 538. They aggregate multiple polls. They come up with a specific number. You go and you look and see how close Haley and DeSantis are. Here's the first question. Over under, DeSantis scores a 17.2% vote in Iowa. And just for something to measure by, that would be second place. That would put him ahead of, at the current polling, he would be above Haley. Haley is currently polling below that. All right. So over under 17.2% vote for DeSantis in Iowa. Like I said, it's a two-parter. Next one, over under Haley 17.1% in Iowa. Now, again, if you could potentially get both of those, then that would be an amazing score for you. You could have DeSantis getting 18 points and Haley getting 17.5. And if you did over on both, that's a payout right there. Not only is that a payout, but it's an interesting result because they both overperformed their polling result, their current polling, but they still ended up second and third in the current lineup that they're already in. And I think both of them would go in supercharged into New Hampshire, where DeSantis is going to get his ass kicked by Haley and Chris Christie. Ass kicked is maybe a little extreme. They're all not doing well against Trump. But Haley is doing the best against Trump in New Hampshire. And I think that even if she finishes third, if she outperforms and we see a drop in Trump a little bit, that could bode well for her. Could she close the gap on Trump in New Hampshire? I personally don't think so. Maybe. But it would bode very well for her going into New Hampshire. I think she wins New Hampshire. And then she actually has an argument for that contested, if there's a contested convention. Maybe she even has an argument for a cabinet position. But she's certainly, what she would do, in my opinion, is support the nominee, Donald Trump, like every good party member should. I don't, by the way. That was facetiousness. I don't. I believe in supporting who you think is actually a good candidate, not just who your party tells you to support, but whatever. She would be a good party soldier. She would probably half-heartedly support maybe do, I don't think she would do any joint like campaign events with him. I don't think he'd want her to, by the way. But she might do a couple like surrogate interviews, or when asked or whatever, she'd be like, well, chaos follows him, but I think the party and the Senate and the Congress, they can all work together and blah, blah, blah. She can keep her. She's never gone far enough to attack him, obviously, because she's been playing this possible potential outcome in her mind. She doesn't want to be backed into a corner. And then what happens, regardless of who's elected on November 7th this year, November 5th this year, she begins campaigning on November 6th or 8th, or the day after, for 2028. That is what I see. Okay. I think that's it. That's everything. I did have a note on here. If anybody remembers, I believe it was our last episode, 3 weeks ago. May not remember. There was an over-under. Is Navalny dead in Russia? Spoiler alert. No, he's not. Apparently they found him some like penal colony in Siberia, my understanding. So he's still alive and well. So good for him. That's not an easy thing to do in when you're an enemy of Putin and Putin's Russia. Can't say it any more plain than that. So yes, still alive, apparently. Okay, that's it. Appreciate you. We are on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Reddit. Hit us up. It's fantasy_elect on all of those, except for Facebook. It's just fantasy elect. I guess fantasy elect was taken by somebody else because it required an underscore. Anyway, we will be back next week. I will either be with Chris or I will be alone again, but we will have to be back next week, post Iowa Caucuses. By the way, you want to jump into the next contest? Like I said, it is running from the Iowa Caucuses to Super Tuesday. So we have a couple different game modes. That will be a season long. We also have a hybrid game, which operates over a season-long period, and you can manage a team, but it's only scored on the outcome at the end. Only scored on the results themselves. So that is fantasyelect.io. I also encourage you to go to fantasyelectgame.com. That's a good place to just start. That's our landing page. You can put your email address in. You'll get into our newsletter. It goes out weekly. We do some fun stuff in there. And you'll be up to date. And we announce all of our new contests to our email members first, our wait list, and then we start to bring people in. So thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed me by myself. Again, I don't know if it was as much fun as or informative as it is with Chris. Chris is the political guy. He knows all of it. So today I was just making shit up as I go. All right. Have a good day. See you in a week. Bye.